Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to do a few tests before I start recording. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me well? If you can hear me, can you just put in the chat bar that you can hear me? The chat bar should be enabled for you to chat to all. Awesome. Thank you. Fantastic. And obviously, can you see me? Fantastic. Great. Thank you. So what I'll do is I'll hit the record button. You will hear a little message, and then I will wait a little bit more for others to join us in, because we had over 50 registrations, and I know sometimes it takes some time for Zoom to kick in. Some people have issues with Zoom, I've heard tonight. Awesome. Right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me in tonight. While we're waiting for other people to join us in, I would like to do a little checkup to make sure that I'm just going to do a few tests before I start recording. That's where things go funny. Awesome. All right. Fantastic. So what I would like to find out tonight is, where are you all dialing in from? So please message in the chat bar for me, where are you dialing in from? That would be amazing. And we'll do a quick head count to see who is here from where. Porirua, awesome. Oh, hi, Jess. Hi, Jim from Fielding. Hi, Bex from Waikanae. I'm in Waikanae too, by the way. Thank you. Hi, Tanya from Auckland. Hi, Daria from Whanganui, sorry. Hi, Anna from Auckland. Hi, Evgeny from Nelson. Hi, Anna from Christchurch. Wow, look at you guys go. Auckland. Hi, Elena from Auckland. No, Elena from Gisborne. Angelica from Auckland. Oh, Angelica, hello. Long time no see. Thank you so much for dialing in. Hi, Dmitry from Auckland. Irina from Wellington. Hello. Wow, look at you guys all coming in. That's amazing. Hello, Yulia. Oh, one thing I would like for you all to change as well is to make sure when you use the chat bar, can you please ensure it is to everyone, not just to me? Because when I'll be reading out your questions at the end, or when we're interacting like this, it's really cool to see that you're talking to everyone, not just to me. Otherwise, that makes me look a bit crazy that I'm talking to myself. So please make sure in your chat option there that it says to everyone, not just to host and panelist. Awesome. We'll just wait a couple of more minutes for other people to join us in before we dive right in. And what I would like to find out from those that are in tonight, are you looking to buy your first home? So yes or no? And what are your time frames? Give me some time frames here. Is it next 3 months? Is it the next 6 months? Is it the next 12 months? Let's have the conversation going. I would love to find out, what are your goals? Do you want to come into your first home before Christmas? How cool would that be? To be in your home before Christmas. I have a lot of clients at the moment that are looking to get in before Christmas. So tell me, what are your time frames? There we go. Oh, nice. Next 6 months, next year. And our next 6 months, Evgeny next to 4-5 months, Dmitry 6 months or less. Daria in the next couple of years. Jess within the next 12 months. Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you, guys. Eventually, yes, in 1 to 2 years or earlier. Well, hopefully, Marina, it will be much earlier for you. How cool would that be? Fantastic. Cool. Well, we've got a really cool crowd. You guys seem really interactive so far. I don't want to keep you hanging. So let's get into it. Let's get going. And we'll go. And hopefully other people can join us in as they go. I had a few messages coming across that they're running late. And there is also a Q&A button at the bottom. If you want to ask me some questions for later as I'm presenting, feel free to pop your questions in the Q&A, or you will have opportunity at the end as well to ask some questions. So please stick around. Awesome. Let's get in. Wow, look at this turnout. How amazing. Right, let's go. So shortly I will share my screen and I will need some people to send the actual reaction button. I hope there are some reaction buttons that you can see, or even raising hands, because when I share my screen, I will not be able to see the chat bar. Cool. Thank you, Daria. You're going to be my volunteer. So shortly I'll share my screen and I need some people to raise their hands to make sure I know you can see the PowerPoint. 1 second. How awesome it is that we live in this world where we can just all tune in from all sorts of parts of New Zealand and just talk like this. How cool is that? Right. Where is my PowerPoint? There we go. Now, can you guys see my... Thank you, Dmitry. Fantastic. I knew I could rely on some people to share some hands. Thank you, Irina. Appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you, Stanislav. Anna, fantastic. Cool. Well, here we go, guys. We're going to start now. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I would love to present you with my presentation tonight that talks about how to get you on the ladder. And the reason I choose this topic to get you on the ladder, because I feel like with anything in life, you have to make that first step. And when you make that first step, the other steps usually a little bit closer. It's that first step, usually that's the one that's a little bit further away. So I would love for you to stay here tonight to learn with me what it will get you to get a yes from the bank. All right. We're going to go through the process of what it looks like on the bank's point of view. And we're going to discover some simple rules of lending. So it's going to be absolute basics tonight that I will cover with you. And at the end, if you stick around, I will make a little announcement. So please stick around if you can for that announcement to happen. But before we get there, I would love to remind you that this presentation is for educational purposes only, and it should not be taken in any way as a specific financial advice. All right. If you need specific financial advice, please go and speak to a financial advisor directly, someone like me, or another mortgage broker or a banker. But right now, tonight, we are not giving out any financial advice whatsoever. It's all going to be just generic, basic stuff to get you on the ladder. So stick around for the next, hopefully 45 to 60 minutes as we go step by step. As I mentioned before, and as people joining in, you will have an opportunity to ask your own questions. So please note them down, get a piece of paper, get a pen, get a calculator. We're going to do some numbers together so you understand what's required from you in the bank's eyes. And what I often get from people is they come to me with a certain worry, right? A lot of you sitting here tonight, you probably just got your resident visa or looking to get resident visa. You may have a low deposit and you may have a high debt position or a bad credit or a combination of all of this. So I want you to know that you're not alone in this journey, that there are others just like you in this journey that are struggling as well. So in the chat bar, can you put for me, what are your worries tonight? Are you associating with any of this? What brought you here tonight? What would you be worried about if you were buying a house tomorrow? Would any of this resonate with you, or do you have any other concerns that I could cover in the future as well, or through this presentation? I would love to hear from you. Yeah, low deposit seems to be a very common theme. And that's, big weekly payments as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Working visa as well. Wow, that's really cool. Thank you guys for sharing that. So yeah, please keep sharing your worries with me, because then I will be able to address them as we go along. Fantastic. Age. Yeah, getting mortgage rate in 50s. That's crazy. Yeah. Nice. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts here. Really appreciate it. And what I would like to show you tonight is the case studies of people that were in situation like you. Just like before, I mentioned that you're not alone in this. Let me share this amazing story of Namita and Amir. I met Namita a few years ago when I popped in to get a pizza after my Taekwondo class. And this girl, she had the most beautiful customer service I've experienced in New Zealand in many, many years. And after chatting with her for a bit, I gave her my card and I said, hey, look, if you're ever looking for a job once you get your residency, come and see me. Because at that time she was on working visa. She did ring me about 6 months later and said, look, do you remember me? I was that girl from the pizza shop and I got my residency, but I don't want a job right now from you. Which was awesome because she really enjoyed working in that place. But what I do want is your help to find me, to get me a mortgage, or, how do I buy a house? She was really, really worried. When Namita and Amir came to see me, at that point, they had a very high personal loan for a car that's right behind them in that beautiful photo. And they had a very low deposit because, being immigrants themselves to New Zealand, they've spent the last few years working hard and saving. So they couldn't use their KiwiSaver or any of that sort of jazz. And they really were doubtful whether they will be able to buy a house in the next 6 to 12 months. But what we did next with them is we sat down, we looked at the situation, and I gave them a clear plan to follow. And these guys smashed it. They absolutely followed my plan. They listened to my advice. And after doing that, within 6 months, they were able to buy a house. And they settled on this beautiful property in Waikanae. And, it would not have been possible if they didn't listen to that advice. But just to reassure you that you're not alone. So if you are having those worries, just like these guys, you're not alone. The other interesting couple that came to see me were Danny and Josh. And just like Namita and Amir, they had worries that they had very high debt position. They had car loans, personal loans, credit cards, all sorts, you name it. And they were living at 2 different houses at that time. They really wanted to live together and start their own family. And they just thought it's not going to be possible because with the cost of living, with the everything rising, with the interest rate, they just didn't think it was possible. But again, we sat down, we nailed the plan. And after following the plan, they were able to buy a house within 9 months. But one of the interesting category of people I deal with a lot is single parents. So meet Jordan. Jordan came to see me a few months ago. And prior to coming to see me, he was really worried that he will never be able to put the roots down. His mother never owned a home, and he ended up moving from house to house. being a kid. And he told me that it really worried him now that he's a father and now that he's got children. How's that going to affect his children in the future? He really wanted his kids to have a home that they can call their own, that they can all have a room each, they can have a nice big playground, play yard at the back, that they can ride the little motorcycles and go to the school, which was in the city of his choice. So he went to other brokers last year and he was turned down. He was told, hey, look, on a single income, that's not possible. Go find yourself a girlfriend or someone that will buy in with you. But Jordan didn't give up. His friends told him to come and see me because I've helped his friends recently. And sure enough, he followed my plan. We got him in within 3 months. So it's absolutely possible if you are a single parent and worried that you are being on single income, how's that going to affect your application? But let me ask you something that probably is playing on your mind right now as you're listening to the stories. How can they do something? What do they know that you don't know yet? The reality is simple. It's basic skills of changing your mindset. And this is what I work with a lot with my clients, is setting those goals to create the new reality. We sit down and we knock it out in terms of their timelines. What's your timeline? What's your deadline? When do you want to be in the house? And that's why I was asking you in the beginning, what are your timelines? And often you will be surprised how fast you can actually achieve your goal versus to what you thought in your head. Because there are 3 sets of reality, right? There's a reality that you think of, there is an actual reality, and there is a reality that you can achieve. So think about it as you coming along on this journey with me. And one thing I share with a lot of my clients and something that we work through is this picture of the iceberg. We all know about the iceberg, often associated with what you see, with the Titanic, but also what you see. And a lot of people, when they look at someone, look at their friends buying a house, they just see the results. They see that someone has achieved something, but they don't see what actually made them to achieve that. And let me tell you, one of the important things that you need to think of if you want to buy a house is changing your behavior, right? If you change your behavior, you will get that result that you want. Because if you continue doing what you're doing, you will continue getting what you're getting. So you really need to change your behavior. But it's really hard without changing your feelings about it first. And as you can see, the majority of the iceberg is actually made up of those feelings. And the feelings get affected by people around us. So people that tell you, oh, no, it's not possible. People that you see on the news that tell you that it's not possible, the media, etc. So the main thing that you need to be thinking of in the future is how do you change your feelings to change your behavior to get the result you want? And it all starts with the beliefs. So let me show you a sample of what I do with my clients during those meetings, what I've done with Namita and Amir, what I've done with Jordan, what I've done with Danny and Josh. It's something that I uncover through the conversation with you. We deep right down into your why. Why do you want to buy a house? Because you can't just go in blindly wanting to buy something without understanding why. And the reason I'll tell you why, after dealing for so many years with hundreds and hundreds of people, I've realized if they don't know their why, they will not take the step. They will find 100 million excuses of why now is not a good time to buy. The interest rates may be high, the property prices may be high, the cost of living is going up, etc., etc. I hear so many reasons why people cannot buy a house, even though they wanted to originally. We get them to the pre-approval stage, but then they're afraid to take that next step. And that comes down to the beliefs. So find your why. If you've got a piece of paper and pen, please write this down, because this is an exercise you can take yourself through tomorrow. And this applies to all walks of life. Why do you want to be with a certain person? Why do you want to work in a certain job? Why do you want to buy a house? But owning a house, what will it mean to you? What will it mean to your children? What will it mean to your husband or wife or partner or a dog or a cat? Drill down like an onion, peel back on all those layers. Find your why. And when you find your why, what you will find is that it will happen because you will have a clear sense of purpose. And you will see that your timeline will absolutely shorten. So as part of my meeting with clients, this is what we go through. We sit down and we go through your why. Before I even dive down into your whole situation, I need to understand your why. Why do you want to buy a house? So please write this down for you to use tomorrow. But without further ado, let me introduce myself because some of you may not know who I am. My name is Zibuni Salimova. I'm originally from Tajikistan, but I've been in New Zealand since 2003. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself at the end of this presentation so you get to understand my journey. Because just like those people before me that I've just shown you, I walked that path. I was an immigrant myself to New Zealand. I was a first home buyer and so on. So I will share that story at the end. So please stick around. But meanwhile, let's get into the actual steps that you need to know about why you've come here. Because I don't want to drag this out for the next 60 minutes, like other webinars you go to and you don't really actually get the real meat. So here we go. Here's the real meat, the steps. The first step you need to really understand after you've understood your why is how you can get the pre-approval, right? So go and find a mortgage advisor like me or someone else and get a pre-approval. Then you need to find a house. Then you need to know how to put an offer. And usually the offer is conditional and then it follows to unconditional. And again, that's a lot of jargon that I'm using, but this is something that I take my clients through and I hold their hand through this journey. After the unconditional comes settlement day and you get to enjoy your new home. Simple, right? But how do you actually get there? How do you get there? So step number one that you need to know is deposit, income, and liabilities. These are the three fundamentals that every banker will look at, that every banker will ask. And again, you know, this is what I ask you first before I send your application to the bank. So let's dive in a little bit further. Let's look into the deposit bit. Deposit. We can either work it backwards from the purchase price, or we can work it forward with what you currently have. And again, it comes down to setting those goals of when do you want to buy? So for instance, if you're looking to buy a house at a certain level, you know you need a certain type of deposit. But one question I often ask, and a lot of you said to me in the beginning that you're worried about the low deposit. So how low is the low? What do you think can get you into a home? What's the lowest deposit you need to have today to get into a home loan in New Zealand? So there we go, opening the chat for you guys. Please let me know. Please let me know, what do you think will get you into a home loan? How low is the low? Fantastic. Yes, we've got some answers. I wish it was zero. I wish it was zero. Look, for the second home, you can get in with zero, and there will be a different webinar that I will run. 5, 10, 20. Awesome. Some really good answers in here. Thank you, guys. Look, there is no wrong or right answer. A 20% deposit will get you in. 15% deposit will get you in. 10% will get you in. But the lowest of the low will be 5 for certain people. And there is a clever way to get with 5. So get in touch with me after this webinar and I'll let you know how. But there are ways to get you in with 5% deposit. So the lowest you can get in is 5. Absolutely right. So let's pretend that you're buying a house at 600K, 5% is 30,000. So as you can imagine, for a lot of households, it may be half of your annual salary. So if we've got 2 people working on average income, that could be your half salary. So you might be closer than you think. You might absolutely be closer than you think. So let's break this down a little bit further for you. How can you save so much money in a certain time? And again, you need to break it down backwards. Is it your KiwiSaver that's going to help you to get in? Is it your savings that's going to help you to get in? Is it gift from family? And by gift, I mean monetary gift, unless they're giving you some stuff to sell. You could also get a loan in certain cases. And in certain cases, we can get away with gifted equity. So if you're a tenant looking to buy place from your landlord, there are ways to get into the property market with the gifted equity. You can also sell some things, so sale of assets. And all of this can be part of your deposit application. And again, this is just to get you thinking. And the reason I know all of this, because I've been there, I've done all of this to get myself in and to get my clients on the ladder. Let's look into your income now. The second thing that the bank looks is how much you earn, but also how good are you at saving. And a couple of hints I would like to share with you tonight. You may not know about this. One of them is I suggest open an account in a different bank and set up an automatic payment. So pay yourself first. But the most important thing is don't sign up for internet banking, because when you sign up for the internet banking, you are drawn to withdraw that money quite easily. But if you don't have access to that money, then it's not there, it doesn't exist. And you will find that you will save money really fast. So if you're not doing this right now and you want to save some money, please use this tip. Now, let's look into your income. So one of the things I highly recommend for people to do as one of the top priorities when you are on this journey, especially if you think that you're 12 months away or 2 years away, is to sit down and look in your budget. Where do you have holes in your budget? How can you make it work? We look at your saving strategies, as I've just shared with you before. That's one of the tips. We also talk about getting rid of that high interest debt. How can you get rid of it? Is it by debt consolidation or other ways? One of the things I did when I was looking to buy a house is I went and I got a second job. And sometimes I even had a third job as well. And a side hustle. Look, throughout the last 14 years of being a homeowner, I always had a side hustle. And, making money on the side, nothing better than that, right? Boosting your savings, boosting your income, especially these days when the cost of living is so high. And again, we're coming back to that sell useless items. Look around you right now. I'm sure all of you sitting somewhere in your dining room, on a couch, look around. What do you have around you that you can sell to make money? And don't go wasting that money. Go put it into that bank account, right? So all these tips will be useful for you to boost your deposit, because the moment you have that 5%, I can get you in. That's why I'm harping on so long about it, because that's very important. Deposit bit is very important. So again, go back to your budget. Track your expenses. And it's not about trapping you within the budget, but it's actually giving you that freedom, because the budget will liberate you. You will know exactly how much is coming in, how much is going out. Because right now, if you don't have the budget, if you don't know how much money is flowing in, how are you going to be as a homeowner? How is the bank going to look at you if your accounts are a mess? So please look into your budget, set one up if you don't have one. Let's do a fun exercise. Who is here got a budget? Yes or no? Don't need to know details. In the chat bar, yes or no? Have you got a budget? Yes or no? There we go. We've got few yeses, we've got few no's. So hopefully from tonight, you go away and set yourself up as the budget. And there are lots of simple tools. If you're banking with various banks on the app, now they've got cash flow tracking. You can use those. If it's too hard to use those, download a simple Excel spreadsheet. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so honest. Really appreciate this. This is fantastic. Because remember, this is not to trap you in. This is to give you a way forward. This is for you to find where you're lacking. Because right now you may be spending too much versus saving that money and helping you boost that deposit to get yourself in. Because at the end of the day, what are you prepared to sacrifice sometimes to get yourself to where you want to be? And look, I've sacrificed a lot to get myself into that first home. So I know what it's like. And by discipline, I mean, stop spending money you don't have. And often I find that when people have that credit card, they will go around tapping it around because it's so much easier, right? To go and buy something you want right now versus saving for it. And look, when I was buying my first home, I went for no takeaway coffees for 6 months. My local ASB branch at that time had a coffee machine. And I used to go there and get free coffee so I wouldn't spend money somewhere else. And that was a way for me to save money and have a coffee at the same time. So things like this that don't have to be difficult. But imagine I was saving $25 a week. That's $200 a month almost, So all these things add up, absolutely add up. And remember, the decisions you make today are the steps to achieve your dream tomorrow. Right? You are in charge of your destiny. I can sit here and give you the most wonderful presentation, but if you go away and do nothing, you will be where you are today. I want you to be at least one step ahead tomorrow. Because going back to that iceberg, remember, if you want those results, you got to work on your behavior. You got to work on those feelings and you got to change your beliefs. Changing beliefs that it is possible. Have someone in your corner that will believe that it is possible at the times when you don't believe it. And again, working with my clients, often I'm that voice in their head saying, look, you can do this. I'm looking at your numbers. It's possible. Because I don't have those feelings, right? When you guys buying a house, you're buying with your emotion. When I look at your numbers, I'm looking with my head. And at the end of the day, if the numbers make sense, then it should work. And that's the simple reality. That's simple reality. The last thing that the bank looks at is your liabilities. So by liabilities, it could mean various things. But today we're just going to tackle this bit here. Liabilities could also be your car, your children, your furry babies, if you're spending too much money on them, but also your debt position. So a lot of people don't realize when, especially migrants, I find this a lot around migrants and younger clients when they turn 18, 20, they're under the perception that you need to go and get yourself a loan to have a good credit history, right? That is absolute false story. Your credit history is made up through various channels, and we are living in the age where the banks have access to know whether you've paid your power bill on time or not, whether you've paid your internet bill on time or not. So you don't actually have to go and borrow money to create that credit history. That credit history is already there. So please try to get rid of your high interest debt if it's possible. And stop spending money you do not have. And again, we're going back to that credit card conversation where usually those credit cards trap you in with, hey, we've got 50 days interest free. But when you look in, they actually have really high interest rate. And if you don't pay it off on time, you end up paying way more interest than what you're actually enjoying the benefits of. So for a lot of my clients, we have a conversation of, hey, get rid of that credit card. You don't need it. All right. And what we look at through the appointments usually is mortgage repayments. And that falls under your budget as well. What can you qualify for? So I take you on a journey of pulling up the bank's calculator. We type in your numbers. We do real life simulation of your situation because everyone's situation is different. So when people call me and say, hey, how much can I borrow? I can't answer that question over the phone. I can give you a number if you want me to, but the ideal thing by you would be sitting down and going through your numbers, going and checking what's your income, what's your liabilities, etc. We also look at your repayments, how often and how those repayments make a difference to your life. And remember, through my life, what I found is not all banks are the same, right? A certain bank could give you $50,000 more or $100,000 less. So it all depends which bank we can go to. And you can either go around and try to do it yourself, or again, you can go and engage a mortgage advisor that can do it all for you. Because understanding which way to take is the most important step when you especially buy your first home. When you buy your 10th home, it still matters, but it's not as scary. But I find for a lot of my first home buyers, they are worried. They don't know what to do. So you need to understand, you need to be in charge of your feelings and the process of knowing where you're going with that. And something I've put together is, for those especially that are sticking around, I put a little PDF guide that takes you through those steps. It's a free guide, so get in touch with me after this webinar, drop me a line by email, and I will send you that PDF guide. So you've got that at your fingertips. And in the beginning, I took you through the process. It talks about that process as well, step by step. What happens at each step? What do you need to do? What do you need to know? And by using that guide, that will make you smarter by having the right information in front of you. Because when you go online onto those Facebook pages, you see so much information. I mean, I see so much information where I roll my eyes and I wonder who is giving out that advice, because some of that advice is not right. Some of advice could be very damaging to you and your home buying journey. So please get your information from the trusted sources. I also have a little course coming up soon, especially made for the first home buyers. So that will be absolutely free, and that will take you through the journey of to prepare yourself financially. Because what I'm finding in New Zealand is a lack of financial literacy. And this is where my passion is, to take you through this steps of making you smarter. So the course will be absolutely free for you to attend. And again, get in touch with me and we'll go through this together. So as we're drawing to an end, I hope you're feeling a little bit more positive about the process. I hope you know what it takes to calculate your deposit and how much you actually need to have. And I hope you understand that, look, budget is the key, and you need to understand that not all lenders are the same. But what is the true cost of not buying today? And I've been saying for days now that, look, with the interest rates dropping, we are now at the sweet spot of buying properties right now, because in 6 months' time, the property prices may increase by 5%. And if the house is 600K today, if it increases by even 5%, it's going to cost you 30K more. You don't want to find yourself in that position. You don't want to be continuously moving your goalpost and saving more and more and more. So if you can, absolutely buy right now. And for a lot of clients, they come to me and we have this conversation. Who am I? Why am I qualified? And I promised to tell you a little story about myself. So I started my journey in New Zealand back in 2003. I came as a 16-year-old with $50 in my pocket. After finishing high school and university, I had this job and I had a dream that I really want to buy a house, because of what happened to me in my childhood really affected my mindset in terms of home ownership. Owning a home was so important to me. It was paramount that I want to call New Zealand home. I want to put my roots down, but I had those worries. I was worried like Namita and Amir, can I buy a house on a resident visa? Can I buy a house with a low deposit? And by going through the journey, I uncovered that, yes, I can. I can buy a house with a low deposit. I can buy a house while on resident visa. And what happened next, that after buying my first home with ASB Bank, funny enough, I ended up applying for a job there. And they took me in because I was an awesome client. They really enjoyed me as a client, and they hired me as a teller. And working there as a teller and then progressing to the personal banker opened my eyes to the possibilities. I could see what's possible. I could see clients coming in with big portfolio of properties. And I said to myself, I want to be them one day. And what happened next is I grew my portfolio. So from that first home that I bought in Palmerston North 13 years ago, I still got that house. I built on that. And since then, I really enjoyed the construction process. So I've built 3 houses now. And I'm sitting in my latest right now that I've built last year. And through this process, I found out that nothing is impossible. If I could do it, anyone can do it. And I want to reassure you tonight that ask those right questions. When you go and talk to other mortgage brokers or bankers, find what their story is. Do they even own a home? Because what I found from my journey is some of those people that were giving me advice were not even the right people to give me the advice because they didn't know. They didn't walk through that journey. They didn't know the worries that I had. And by knowing those worries, I can relate to you. I know what's in your head. I am not talking down to you. I'm talking with you. And that's what I found has helped me to gain over 129 Google reviews so far. Sometimes people are too shy to leave me reviews, and we're working on that. So if you're listening, and if you know of your friends that used my services but haven't left me a review, please encourage them to. Because the more reviews people leave me, the more it helps others. So you're welcome to Google my name and find out all this information about me. And just to remind you that mortgages is not the only thing that I do. I also do insurances and I also do the personal loans. So it's a one-stop shop for a lot of my clients to encompass everything that they need. And without further ado, I would like to invite you to either get in touch with me. So if you'd like that booklet, please scan the code. That will take you straight to my WhatsApp account. And I've also set up a home loan hub on Facebook for people to build a community where I will share my tips. I will bring the industry speakers, and soon I also have exciting news to share that we're going to be launching a podcast where I'll be bringing people in. So please, if you want to stay in touch, if you want to learn more, educate yourself from the right sources, and one of them will be from me. So I'll give you a time to scan the code. And it's going to be, I'll open up the floor shortly for you. I hope you enjoyed this so far. And you can ask me questions. It's question time. So feel free to pop your questions in a chat bar and I will answer them for you. So thank you so much for sticking around. I was keeping an eye on the number and you guys stayed the whole time. That's incredible. Fantastic. Thank you, Jim. You've got a budget, but the missus doesn't. So again, have that conversations because that's where a lot of couples fall apart. And that's where my counseling degree kicks in. I have postgraduate in counseling and relationship. And I find that a lot of relationships usually break down because of finances, because of lack of communication. Communication is the key in anything, right? In relationship, in personal finance, business. So have that conversation going. Fantastic. Just to give you that QR code again, if you've missed out. So remember, if you want the PDF, get in touch with me. And if you want to sign up for that free course that I'll be running, I'm taking expressions of interest. I can only take 20 people on that course. So please get in touch with me. It will be first in, first served. And I will launch it for you. I'll come back to you with some information around it. Great job. Cool. Opening up the floor for some questions. There we go. There's a Q&A button. Would you recommend that I buy the worst house in the best area or the best house in the worst area? That's a very good question. Personally, I bought the worst house in the best area for my first home because that's all I could afford. But I knew that I wanted the best street. There was an option to buy a house a not so good area, but it was a much nicer house, or there was an option to buy a worse house. And I ended up buying the worst house. And surely enough, it continued to grow up in value much faster than the house on a worse street. So if that was my advice, but again, all situations are different. So this is something that we need to look at personally. So I've answered that one. What bank would you say is the most easiest to deal with for the first home buyers? The banks are incredibly interesting. What I found through my career as a mortgage advisor for the last 6.5 years is that every week there could be a new flavor of the bank. This week it could be Westpac, next week it could be ANZ, the week after it could be BNZ. But again, this is something for you to work through with your advisor or with me if you're working with me, and I can tell you where we should go and go from there. But yeah, it's really hard to tell. Each week it changes. Would you recommend that I purchase with a 5% deposit or wait till I have 10 to 20? Again, my answer usually to people is if you can get in now, buy a house today, because we all seen what happens to the property prices, right? It goes through the cycle. Right now we're at the low end, soon it's going to go up. So if you can get in with 5% deposit, absolutely get in. I'm a great believer in properties. I love properties. As you can see, I've got a good portfolio of mixed residential and commercial. So I would tell you, I'm very biased. Buy a property if you can. Does Afterpay affect me getting a home loan? Absolutely does. Afterpays, lay-bys, hire purchases. So please, if you can get rid of them, absolutely, I highly recommend get rid of them. Do we still need to do the 3 months with no extra expenses? Netflix, takeaways. Hopefully you know what I mean. Absolutely, I know what you mean. Not necessarily. The banks have now eased somewhat on the expenses. You don't have to be frugal with your budgeting. The only thing I ask of my clients is make sure you don't go below your spending every week, because that looks bad if you're constantly in overdraft. But look, if at the end of the day you've got a mortgage and you've got a mortgage to pay versus watching Netflix, of course you'll pay your mortgage. You will cancel Netflix. It's common sense. So no, you don't have to cancel everything straight away. You don't have to stop having takeaways, but it will be good for your pocket and for your budget at the end of the day. How long should I fix my loan on 5% deposit so I can get the cheapest interest rate? Again, interesting question. When you don't have 20% deposit, you do get punished quite a bit with the bank's interest rates. So this is something you got to work through with your advisor. Because again, I can't give you specific advice here, but if you can fix for 6 months and then build on that equity, get yourself in that 20% space because the property price have increased and helps you out so you can qualify for lower interest rates, then that's the way to go. But if fixing on a lower rate will get you longer rate and lower rate will get you better cash flow, that's also an option. Right, I've answered all your questions. Let me look in the chat bar what's going on there. Can I use the whole amount of my KiwiSaver to buy my first house? Absolutely, you can if you qualify. You have to leave $1,000 behind. So $1,000 has to stay in your KiwiSaver and you can use the rest. You have to be in KiwiSaver for at least 3 years in order to be able to use it. Can we get a copy of the seminar? I will try. Flick me an email and I will see what I can get you. Can I open the company? I have a good hobby and hire my wife, which is in maternity leave, and pay salary to get second income? That's a really good question. At the end of the day, if you're the company director and the shareholder and she's your wife, the bank will look at your profit and loss, at your financials. They will see if your company is making a loss, but you're paying yourself a lot of money, then it cancels each other out. The company has to make positive returns in order for the application to work. And because she's your wife, that income is sort of automatically shared anyway. But there are ways around this. So do get in touch and I will help you out to find a way. Thank you. Awesome. Guys, just remember when you're asking questions, please use to everyone, because other people can't see your questions and it looks like I'm talking to myself. Can we combine KiwiSavers and would this give us a better chance? Absolutely. Absolutely, it will. At the moment, actually, funny enough, today I had a phone call from this family and we have father and a mother and 2 daughters, and they all want to buy together because they have really good KiwiSavers, but they can't buy separately. They want to buy all together and live in the same house as they are right now. So absolutely, if you can combine your KiwiSavers with your husband or wife, or, you know, if you want to go into a house purchase with siblings, you can do that. The only thing I would highly recommend is get legal advice before you buy a house with someone, because things do change in people's lives. Things can get messy, you know, even if it's a husband-wife situation or brother-sister. So in order to avoid messy financial situations, and again, speaking from experience here, please make sure to get the right legal advice and the right setup for your situation. Can you combine KiwiSavers if only one person has had it for 3 years? No. So the KiwiSaver, you can only use it if there are 3 years in. Sorry, I got distracted with Carrie's. Thank you, Carrie. Have a good one. Absolutely, get in touch. Yes, so you have to be in KiwiSaver for 3 years in order to be able to use it. Awesome. Guys, keep the questions coming. I hope this presentation was useful to you tonight. And as I say, find me on Facebook, get in touch with me on WhatsApp. If you've got any questions, I would love to help you through this journey. I think you are much closer than you believe you are. And don't let others affect your feelings and your beliefs. Find a person that will fight your battle. Thank you. I hope that was very, very useful for you tonight. And as I promised, I kept it nice and short because there's so much I can cover off, but no point, as it goes in and goes out. And I don't want to bombard you with all this information. So I run these webinars quite often, so please continue to come back, because each webinar I try to bring something different and keep them interesting for you. Can I get a personal loan to top up my deposit if I have a good job to get to 20%? That's a very good question. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes we do that as well. We do get people personal loans to top up their deposit if the income allows. You know, if you're on a 300K salary and you need to borrow 30 grand, for instance, there were cases where it happened. Absolutely. And in some cases, the whole 5% can be borrowed as well. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was absolute pleasure to have you all tonight. I look forward to getting to know you more over this journey. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out, add yourself to my Facebook page. Reach out if you've got any questions. Bring your friends along, because the more people we have buying a house, the better it will be for the community.